It's your tech moment. BYOD Apocalypse. Evan Schumann writes, message to IT, trusting Apple and Google for mobile app security is career suicide. Ready for the mobile security news that IT doesn't want to hear about but needs to? When security firm Positive Technologies started pen testing various mobile apps, security holes were rampant. High-risk vulnerabilities were found in 38% of mobile applications for iOS and in 43% of Android applications, and most cases are caused by weaknesses in security mechanisms. 74% and 57% for iOS and Android apps respectively, and 42% for server-side components. Because such vulnerabilities creep in during the design stage, fixing them requires significant changes to code. Here's the most frightening line, and it's frightening because it means there is no easy enterprise IT fix. Risks do not necessarily result from any one particular vulnerability on the client or server side. In many cases, they are the product of several seemingly small deficiencies in various parts of the mobile application. Taken together, these oversights can add up to serious consequences. As I've argued before, enterprise IT and certainly enterprise CISOs and CSOs simply can no longer put any trust into an app from either Apple's App Store or Android's Google Play. This is a major nightmare, since that is where employees have to go to download apps, whether personal, bring your own device, or corporate. The security holes could be intentional malware, unintentional security holes, or even perfectly fine code that is clean on its own, but that accidentally creates problems when interacting with the rest of the mobile environment. What this means is that enterprises must hire and deploy their own penetration testing teams, either on staff or contracted, to test every app that they're going to permit on a corporate device, even a BYOD device. So yes, that very well might mean also testing every consumer app that some employee wants to download. Won't that make you ultra popular? And this gets worse. Read how over at Computer World. Danny Bradbury writes, cloud computing giant PCM hacked. A hacking group has gained access to the internal infrastructure of large cloud services provider PCM. California-based PCM provides a mixture of solutions, including cloud services and hardware, and made over $2 billion in revenues in 2018. According to a report by specialist cybersecurity journalist Brian Krebs, the company discovered the breach in mid-May. Sources told him that the attackers stole administrative credentials for Office 365 accounts, and that they were mostly interested in using stolen data to conduct gift card fraud. The modus operandi in this case was similar to other attacks on large IT providers we've seen, in which the hacking group sends phishing emails to companies including retailers, employee rewards programs, customer loyalty and recognition businesses, and other organizations dealing in gift cards. After compromising a system, a group would use a custom version of a malware strain called Mimikatz, which collects usernames and passwords from memory. Once the group has access to the infrastructure of companies that deal in gift cards, it would then use money transfer services, payment processing services, and clearinghouses to monetize that information, the report added. A possible theory for targeting could be that gift cards provide access to liquid assets outside of the traditional Western financial system. An exit point to crypto? What PII is at risk? Despite California's strict notification laws, there are many questions remaining in this article over at Sophos Naked Security blog. Russell Brandom writes, America needs to see Amazon's tax returns. Amazon's taxes have become a campaign issue. In last week's Democrat debates, two different candidates, Cory Booker and Andrew Yang, called out Amazon for paying $0 in federal income taxes last year, even after listing $4 billion in profits. Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, and President Trump himself have brought up the same point at various points on the campaign trail, always directed at Amazon. In a CNN interview after the second debate, Bernie Sanders singled the company out as an example of a broken tax code, saying simply, "I'm going to tax them." Quote, "We pay every penny we owe in corporate taxes, including $2.6 billion over the past 3 years," end quote, Amazon said when reached for comment. "We've invested $270 billion in the U.S. since 2010 and created more than 275,000 jobs." But there's an awkward truth behind the political back and forth. We don't know what Amazon's tax bill really is. Like every other company in America, Amazon's tax returns are private, legally considered to be a trade secret. We don't know which tax breaks they're taking or how they've structured their finances to avoid various taxes in favor of others. If Amazon says its tax bill was lower because of investments, we simply have to take the company at its word. Check out this feature article from The Verge for more. John Oates writes, "What would Jesus tweet?" Church of England hands down commandments for Anglicans on social media. The Archbishop of Canterbury has used a Facebook Live interview to launch a digital charter to provide guidelines for how Anglicans should use social media. In the interview, the Most Reverend and Right Honorable Archbishop Justin Welby said it was obvious why the guidelines were needed. Quote, "Just look at any article and then look at the comments below, and very quickly you find stuff which is just poison," end quote. Welby said a good starting point was to treat others as you would like to be treated. The voluntary pledge calls for people to ensure that what they post on social media is true and fair and factual. Welby said there was no such thing as an alternative fact and that social media users should not go for the person but the issue. He also said people should be welcoming, not to try to shut out others. On its own social media feeds, the Anglican Church calls on people to take responsibility for what they post and be aware that it can be both public and permanent, whatever your privacy settings. It notes that personal and professional lives can easily become blurred. The guidelines also call on people to disagree well. There are more guidelines over at the Register. Other headlines of interest out there today: Samsung's Bixby Marketplace launches in the US and Korea. That story's over at Engadget. Crave that Instagram verified badge? Don't fall for this login stealing scam. That story over at Naked Security. Business security in the age of malicious bots. That story is at HelpNet Security. Fake noise will be added to new electric cars starting today in the EU. That story is over at The Verge. DSL Reports has a list of good stories. With the installation of Supernode 3, New York City's Mesh DIY internet network has drastically expanded its coverage in the city. That story's over at Vice.com. SpaceX's Starlink satellites are in position and ready to begin testing. That story's at DigitalTrends.com. Senators propose $5 billion plan for rural broadband build-out. See 6-year timetable for matching funding in unserved areas. That story is coming from multichannel.com. Trump's offer of U.S. tech lifeline for Huawei prompts fierce political backlash. That story's over at Forbes.com. Verizon versus AT&T versus T-Mobile versus Sprint. 5G speed test battle royale over at CNET.com. What Verizon can learn from Apple about the power of a single customer experience. That story's at Forbes.com. Finding a buyer for Boost Mobile is still key to closing the T-Mobile Sprint merger. That story's at PhoneArena.com. Pi's FCC crushes rule that brought more broadband competition to San Francisco. That story's over at TechDirt.com. 5G smartphones are on the way. Here's every phone that will support 5G. That story's at DigitalTrends.com. Amazon gives Fire TV devices a section devoted to live television. That story is at Engadget.com. Help me out by thumbing this up or give it claps or telling people or sharing it on social media, please. I would appreciate it. Politics may be married to technology and big media, but sometimes individuals can make a difference. Get the Dirty Deeds Playbook today for just $2.99 on Kindle or for a few dollars more in paperback. This satirical field manual uses fools and fanatics to sow chaos in American elections. Tools and techniques, observations, and deception I've seen in the election process over these past few years. Support this news aggregation service by checking out my website at yourtechmoment.com today. Links there show all the places you can listen or watch for free. Also, find out about my other projects, subscribe to my newsletter and alerts, or buy books, advertise, and support this project with some merchandise purchases. Have a great day.